right now, I'm going to take a look at the branching to see about any branches that I might want to remove. So we could walk around this tree and look at it from a few different angles. I'm guessing that this is the front of it here. I think it's the best view of the tree is from this angle right here, looking at the tree. So the neighbor dogs are out and they're very excited about what we're doing. They love bonsai, they really do. And they're just telling us how much they love what's going on here. So I'm just going to look at the branching and see if we have any branches that need to come out. There is a little bit of dieback here, so I'm going to do some minor pruning. Nothing too heavy today. Certainly don't want to stress this tree out. I got some growth that's, this really hasn't been styled and trained in a while. Got a lot of excess branching that's kind of crisscrossing throughout the tree. So I'm going to take out some of these small inner branches to kind of clean it up and allow for the viewer to see the major structure. And that's really what we're doing when you have a mature tree that's already been trained and been in a finished pot for some time. It's just the maintenance and the maintaining of it. So you're cleaning it up over time. You're trying to prune and cut back branches that may criss and cross over the main trunk or the major branches. Now we got some deadwood here. I'm going to leave the deadwood on, and over time I may gin this, and we'll have a video about gin, which is basically when you have a dead branch, you see that in nature, and that's just part of an old tree is dead branches. And so gin will be me shaving this down and taking some of this bark off to make it look like an even older dead branch. But for now I'm going to leave that on here today. But this branch can be cleaned up. I have another dead branch over here, which is a shame because we don't have a lot of growth coming this direction. It would have been nice to have a nice pad to come over here. And again, I don't know the whole history of this tree, so I'm not sure what happened here and why these branches died back. But I'm going to leave them on, and we're going to use them for character in another video. I'll see if she'll let me borrow her tree for another video. Let's see here. A little bit of dead wood in here that needs to come off. Not much. Just giving it a little bit of a haircut. I'm going to take off this branch. There's a little branch in here I'm going to be taking off for separation. So really what you want to do when you're styling a bonsai tree is you want there to be distance and separation between the different layers and different levels. I have some branches that are kind of coming from one level and intruding into another level, so I'm going to create some distance between the different levels of branching here. And I don't want there to be, distinct layers, distinct levels of branching. So you can look through the tree. There was an old bonsai master that said that you want to leave space in the branches for the birds to fly through. So you kind of imagine there's a little bit of distance between the different layers so that the birds can fly through the tree, creating a little space, because it's not only the branching and the foliage and the pads of the tree, but it's also the negative space. It's the space between the branches that are important, the balance of positive and negative space in the tree. That's also visually appealing. I'm just glad that I didn't have a giant ball of knotty roots inside there to contend with today. And then I got a branch here that's kind of pointing straight down, which is not appealing, this one right here, so I'm going to cut that off. And that brings this branch more in balance, and it brings it more parallel to the ground rather than having a branch coming straight down, which is generally mildly frowned upon in bonsai. All right, I'm just going to be walking around here and taking a quick look. I might be able to take off some length in some of these branches to encourage new growth. Also looking for any dead wood that might be in here. Got some unnecessary branching back behind. So another thing that's visually pleasing in bonsai is that most of the leaves and most of the branching are out toward the ends and out toward the tips. So any interior branching and leaves are generally pruned out. So I see several examples of where we've had some new growth, which is great. That's a good sign. But I'm going to take out some of these inner branches, which will then relieve the tree of having to support these branches and then give the tree energy to hopefully redirect the new growth out toward the ends and out toward the tips, which is where we want it. Some more crisscross branching in here, and take that out. Some interior branching. It's unnecessary. So ficus are very aggressive growers, and you can tell by their roots that the roots are very aggressive as well, and how this is really a nice style. The root of a rock is a very appealing style, and this has been growing over this rock for some time. Very healthy tree overall. I think I'm just about there. I'm going to take off a little bit of length off of some of these tips here. Again, just to encourage new growth away from the center. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm trimming a ficus. So ficus have milky sap, sticky, milky. Yeah, which means I need to clean my tools really well when I'm done here today. Otherwise, my tools will be sticky. But the sap of the ficus trees is almost rubbery, you know, it's like latex. All right, let's see here. Some light pruning. All right. Now this tree, it's much easier to walk around the tree because it's so big. But I do have a really cool tool, and I'm going to introduce you guys to it while I'm thinking of it. So don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. This is one of my favorite tools, and a lot of people don't know about this trick, but this is a Lazy Susan. So this is my Lazy Matthew tool. Not really lazy, but it's a very efficient way of working with a bonsai, especially in larger specimens. But so now, look at that. You can just spin the tree around. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier, but this is one of my favorite tools. That way I won't get in front of the camera as I'm walking around here. I could just spin the tree. So yeah, go, I got this Lazy Susan at IKEA. It's very affordable. Some more dead branches, some dead wood in here. A little bit of interior branching that is distracting to the eye. So back toward the trunk, you're constantly looking for older or new growth that's distracting to the overall form of the tree. You know, not being the one who styled this, you know, I have to try to imagine in some ways what the artist had in mind when they were styling this tree originally and training it. So I can only guess, but the finished product is really nice. Now here's a branch here underneath. Also branches that are underneath, young branches that are underneath major branches are distracting. So I'm taking off that branch. And now we have this nice clean space to accentuate that line there. Do have some branching coming back into here. I really want the form of the major branches to be accentuated, and I don't want all of this distracting interior foliage to lead your eye away from what's going on with the main structure of the tree. And if you don't keep up with your trees, I mean, they'll get away from you. Here's another branch that's very distracting. So the maintenance of a finished bonsai is never done. I mean, a tree is never finished. I mean, they continue to grow. Even in their finished pots. I mean, even in these small bonsai pots, which do slow down the growth considerably. So a lot of beginners and even people who have been practicing bonsai for a long time will purchase, finished trees. And I always, when I say finished, I really mean ones that have been put in their final finished pots. But the tree is never truly finished, so there's always maintenance to be done. And with an old tree that's in its finished pot, most of the maintenance revolves around, maintaining the shape, the original intent of and integrity of the tree. Is basically you are the steward or the caretaker of this piece of art, and you're just kind of keeping it how you found it, so to speak. Feeding it, watering it, trimming it, caring for it, keeping it free of pests and disease, keeping the inside of the pot free of debris and weeds and so on. And it's just a small level of maintenance that needs to be done to keep the tree looking good, healthy, and clean. So this is kind of like coming in for a checkup or a tune-up at the auto body shop or something like that. I'm just inspecting this tree for this customer of mine, giving it a light haircut, removing unnecessary and dead branches, excess growth that distracts from the overall appearance of the tree. So I step back for a few moments and look at it because when you're right up on the tree, it's hard to see the overall form. So I do step back on occasion when I'm trimming to look at it, to find places where there are branches that distract. And I just found a couple more here that kind of block my view of the overall form of the tree. And when I get back with the customer, when we meet again, I'm going to make some suggestions as far as some styling that could be done, maybe some wiring of some of these branches to hold them into another position. I think overall, and here would be the front view, I think it's looking a lot better, a lot tidier. But again, it's not my tree, so I'm just going in mildly and gently. She does trust me to do whatever I feel should be done, but I'm not going to go at this as heavy as I might if this were my tree. And I don't want to scare her. I don't want to bring it back, because if it were my tree, I'd probably do a really heavy cut and it would look almost naked. But I don't want to return this to her and her freak out. So I'm going to do this in stages, and then I'll have a conversation with her. There's even this branch or root. You tell me, what is it? Is that a branch or a root? Look at the way this tree grows. I mean, it's a root, or is it a branch? But look how this is connected to this trunk here. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know if this branch was here, this grew down, or this grew up. I'm not sure. I don't have the history with the tree to know which came first, but it's kind of a conundrum. It's like this full circle here. It's really interesting. But I think this is a little distracting. And if it were my tree, I'd probably take this off. So I'm going to talk to her about that and see how she feels. I do have some dead root here. Actually, a couple just needs to come out. So we don't want parts of the tree rotting. That's certainly not healthy. So that's gone. This is still pretty firm, the wood here. So again, I was talking about how I'm going to style that and to make it look like even older dead wood. We've got this big knob here, which is not attractive. I'll probably taper this down to a finer point and remove some of the bark so it looks like it's been aged and weathered there on the tree. I think that's just about it for today, and then I'm going to meet up with the owner of this tree. We'll look at it together, see what she thinks and how far she might want me to take this. I'll probably do it along with her so she can see what it is that I'm doing, and then discuss with her some of the maintenance to kind of keep it looking really tight here. This branch is a little distracting on the back side there. Take a look at that again. Cool. All right, so I think this ficus is done. So thanks for joining me. I really didn't know what I was getting into today, and so because this is not my tree, because I have not ever taken this tree out of the pot, I had no idea what to expect as far as the roots were concerned. But when I looked very quickly at the soil and the roots, I had a lot of really fine roots, which are what we're looking for. There weren't a lot of big, large, oversized roots, and if that were the case, I would have removed some of those. But this tree is in a really good spot right now. I'm not going to mess with the roots unless absolutely necessary, so we're in a good spot there. And with a light haircut, I think the tree looks a lot better. So I'm going to return this to the owner, and if this comes my way again for some more work, we'll certainly make a video of it. But I was very lucky and very fortunate to have the opportunity to work on this beautiful tree. Again, it's a Ficus benjamina. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and we can close on this, is I was telling you about how I'm going to be naming all of my Portulacaria with Japanese names. So I came up with an idea. I actually came up with 7 Japanese names, and I don't know if you can get a close-up of these names. But this again, so it seems like the trend is that I may be pulling these from Japanese pop culture. These are 7 very famous names. These are 7 characters from a very famous Japanese movie. So if you look at these, you can pause this video and write them down and Google them or Bing them or whatever search engine you like to use, but you'll know exactly which film this came from. If you have not seen this film, I highly recommend it. A very, very interesting film. It is an old black and white Japanese masterpiece. So enjoy. So don't forget, you guys, subscribe to Earthworks Jack's YouTube channel and share, comment, please comment any ideas, anything you'd like to see me do in relation to bonsai, gardening in general, container gardening. Please leave suggestions at the bottom in the comment section. Until next time, I'll see you later.